Hey everyone, back again, going with the second installment here on the 37 Plymouth. I spent about 4 hours yesterday with the pressure washer and scraper trying to get rid of all the dirt and I don't know how many years of dust and sediment and everything that was inside, and just trying to formulate a plan here as to how to proceed on this project. It's a lot rougher than I originally thought, and it's going to be just a ton of work. So I'll just show you what I've got happening, and we can go from there. Going to be a little tough to film some of it, but I got all of the dirt out. Can assess the rust a whole lot better. As you can see, there's a whole lot of daylight where there's not supposed to be. One of the things that I've been trying to figure out is where to start. And I haven't quite figured that out yet. It's going to be quite the difficult procedure. These floor pans, the actual floor is all made in one piece, right from just behind the kick panel, the toe panel at the front, all the way to the back. At the back here, see if I can get you in to see what's happening. You can see here it's all bent down and folded down. Well, I think somebody drove into the back of this, or they backed into something and they folded this all up. This floor is supposed to be dead flat from what I can understand, and welded to the tail panel here. There is absolutely no structure left on the sides. And what I've ended up having to do was I took and I removed, there's a body mount right at that plate. There's another one where the brace comes down from the top here that's all rusted out that I have to rebuild. And then there's another one just up behind the door up there. And I removed those 4 or 6 body mounts. Well, actually I removed 2 of them, and the other one's broke. And what we've got is, I showed earlier how the door gap here is really tight at the bottom and screwed at the top, like almost ½ an inch. I'll come over to the other side and I'll show you. This side's not quite as bad, but what I figured out to do there is, after removing those body mounts, I'll just get you set up on the tripod. Worry about that piss poor camera work. So I've got the gap right there in the door. I have a jack and a piece of blocking across the back underneath the trunk. Drop down here. I'm just going to jack this up. And you can see that gap closes right up. A little bit more. Okay, now we've got a pretty consistent gap all the way down. It's going to need a little bit of work. Now I think part of that is because whoever did the previous body work didn't bother trying to straighten any of this out. So what I found once I jacked this up, when I was watching it, is because there's no structure in any of this, there's no strength in it, so this part up here kind of folds down, this part folds down, and this part lifts up. So what that's doing is allowing the entire back end of the car to sag. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weld some braces in that'll tie from here, from the B pillar to the A pillar, to try and hold everything where it's supposed to be. Then I can let it back down, I'm hoping, or block it up on the back end here And then I can start figuring out which panels to make first. And that's going to be just quite a job in itself. So I'm not sure where all the damage is yet. There's a bunch of stuff that's hidden underneath this Bondo mess. And I know there's little patch panels that are screwed on, and some of them are bubble gummed on, and some of them are put on with brass. So anyhow, once I get this, get some braces put in, get this figured out up the front here, then I can figure out what I'm going to do next for trying to hold all the structure together while I'm building new panels. So I'll bring you back here shortly. Okay, I got some braces put in, one on each side. I went to the A pillar just underneath the dash, good strong point, and then I bolted into the hinge point for the convertible top on both sides, and it's held everything pretty good. We've got pretty nice even gaps, and the measurement from the A pillar to the bracket here, or the metal on the B pillar, is within 1/8 of an inch on each side. So I'm going to call that good. I'm pretty sure from the factory it wasn't any better than that. Now, to get that lifted up so that it matched on the front, I had to jack the back end of this thing up almost 2 inches. It did settle down about 1 inch. So I think I'm going to call that good for now. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to roll this outside, and I'm going to take some 60 grit, and I'm going to get everything sanded on the sides here so I can figure out what I'm going to, where I'm going to cut. But I think the next thing I'm going to build is going to be these inner fenders. They supply a whole lot of strength to everything here. And I think that's probably my best bet is to go with those next. So I'm going to get this rolled outside, get some sanding done, and see what happens. Okay, we're back again. I got the shelf unit out. This piece goes right behind the driver's seat into this opening here. And I guess it was for storage for little things when you're traveling. So that's there. The spare tire, I guess, went on the other side of that shelf behind the seat as well. I started, I got this ground around the outside here on both sides, and I pushed out the back a little bit more. It's just a disaster. Nothing's the right shape. This corner where the rumble seat opening is, looks like it's about 3/4 of an inch higher than this side. Get a shot from back here. The other thing is, when whoever welded the fenders on, put a whole mess of heat in, and if you look, follow that line, you'll see that it's all wavy. They introduced a whole bunch of waves into the steel here, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fix that. So it's really kind of difficult to figure out a real good plan, because this needs to be replaced to hold this up. This needs to be replaced to hook to that. But in the meantime, I don't know where everything's going to sit in the meantime. So first thing I decided I'm going to do is tackle a bit of the floor, get this front section done. The floor in this was all one piece. I'm going to do it in 3. I'm going to do this front section. I'll do an overlap with plug welds across here, and then I'll bring it up and I'll do another overlap up top there, and then the back piece. So what I've done, this was tack welded down the sides and seam sealed, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 spot welds that were holding it all in. So I got this piece ready to come out, and I'm a little afraid of what I'm going to find underneath. One thing that's kind of interesting with this being a convertible, it's actually got two frames. It's got the main frame with the lightning holes you can see down there, and then there's an additional frame that's on top of it that holds the body to it, and that must be for extra strength because there's no roof on it. So anyhow, I'll get this piece pulled off and then I'll bring you back and show you what the floor or the underside looks like here. Okay, we're back again. A little bit more tore apart. I got the front section of floor removed here and then started digging into this a little bit more, and as usual, we found the culprit rust. It's really bad. This is the cover that went over the center part of the X-brace here on the secondary frame. Again, whoever engineered this was a moron. This whole box here is sealed except for a few holes, which allows it to fill with dirt and rust out. The front section completely rusted out, this side on top, that side top and bottom, as well as up there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that to repair it. I'm going to have to get a hold of the owner of the car and see what he wants to do here. This is turning into a real nightmare. So the piece of floor I've got sitting out, it shouldn't be too bad to build. Right there, it's got a few bead rolls in it and then the battery box, but that shouldn't be an issue. So anyhow, we're gonna carry on here, see what we can come up with, see what he wants to do. I'm pretty sure I already know. Just fix it. That's gonna be quite the issue until the body's off, and I don't want to take the body off of this until I get some of the rust repair done, because I'm afraid it's just going to fall right apart. So we'll carry on. Okay, we're back again. I'm going to start working on repairing the X in the center of this. I don't know if you, I guess you can't call it a subframe. It's the lower frame of the body that sits on top of the frame for the chassis. So I've got a few places pieces to replace. This is all rotted out across here, and then there's some rust inside, as well as the top sections of these. So I'm going to dissect them. I've taken this one cross member out already. I believe it's where the seat mounts. I've got it on the bench here. I'm just going to start cutting out a piece for that. It's got this piece welded on, which I believe is the seat mount. I'll have to build that, but it's just really, really thin and rusty. I'm probably going to have to build two of these, one for each side. I've got some 16 gauge that I picked up I'm going to use for making these. I've got to have to put these little depressions in where the weld-on nuts go. I think I've got some 5/16 rivet nuts that I can put in there in place of those. So anyhow, I got the piece all measured out. Gonna lay this out on a piece of 16 gauge and get it cut out. Okay, I got the two blanks cut. I've got the brake marks on them. I got a first one set up in the press. We're in the brake here, and we'll just put the first 90 in. This is 14 gauge, like I said, so it's going to be a little bit of a good thing it's nice and short. Okay, there's the first one. Second one set up here. My poor old brake has been abused more than it's been used. I have to be really critical on my bends here, because this fits in between the horizontal or the front to back runners on that extra frame. Get this dialed in. Get you back here just a little bit. Yeah. Think we got her? Actually, I think I had to move over just slightly because it was hitting on my top brace here. Couldn't quite get my 90 degrees. Okay, so there's my replacement beam. I'll get the other one bent up and then we can put in those divots where the rivet nuts go. Okay guys, we're back again. Seems starting to sound like a broken record on this frickin' channel, but this onion just keeps getting more rotten all the time. This is the centerpiece of the X here. As you can see, there's not much left of it. And then the inner structure looks like there's 3 or 4 layers of steel there. And it's completely shot. So I'm not sure I even have the capability to rebuild this. So gonna have to do some serious thinking here as to what I can do to fix this mess. So anyhow, once I get this dissected a little bit more, I'll bring you back and we can see if we can figure out what's going on here. Okay, so we've got all of the rust cleaned out. We're back to good metal on everything. Now this is 16 gauge. What I did was, again, using the beer case CAD, I made a pattern for the replacement piece. I broke it in the break, and then the top has to be curved. What I've done is I've taken a piece of 14 gauge and I've got it roughly shaped and curved. I have to do a final trim on it here. It's really tough to get this thing into position. I got a little bit of trimming to do to get a really nice fit all the way along. I'll have to put that roll in there. I'll probably have to heat it up and pound that in after I get it tacked in place. And then I'll get this all welded in, and then we can go with the next piece that goes on top of this. The one thing I have noticed is there's 3 layers, which is probably one of the reasons this thing rusted out. Moisture gets in there and causes issues. Now, this car is probably not going to see more than, I don't know, 3,000 miles in the rest of its life after it's restored. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I'll get rust converter on everything and we should be good. So that's an hour of my life I'm not going to get back. That's how long it took to shape that, put that little divot in, and get it all tack welded in. So next thing I'm going to do is finish welding this all up. Then I will figure out the next piece of steel that's got to go in here, and I can start putting in the last of the structure. Okay, I've got a couple more pieces fabricated here and welded in. The top piece of this one I made up and welded it in. As you can see on that side, there's a little bit of a hump in that. I'm not sure what they were there for, but all they did was put a little blister in the floor that I don't think is necessary, so I'm getting rid of that and making this all flat, make it a much easier piece to make. This side, I had to make this whole new piece that ties into the center hump and then on the channel at the bottom here. I've got everything I put rust converter on it, just waiting for that to dry, and I'm just going to start working on this inner piece. Goes in here. The piece I cut out will go something like that. and it'll carry on right up to here. So what I did was I took and I broke a chunk of 14 gauge, or sorry, 16 gauge, the correct length, and then I've marked on the back side where I have to do the shrinking to get the curves in it. Then we'll go over to the shrinker stretcher and see if we can get this. Okay, I've got the piece set up here. See if I can get this tripod set up so I'm not going to be kicking it. And I'm just going to see how this is going to curve. This is pretty heavy stuff. I'll have to go one on each side. A little bit in it. Keep the fingers out of the way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get enough because I'm using the 16 gauge, but I'm going to keep working on it, and we'll see what happens. Well guys, that didn't go so well. I got a little bit of curve in each of these, and I guess there's a reason why these shrinker stretchers say maximum capacity is 18 gauge, because when you push too hard, this top V block turns into two pieces. And once that happens, it don't work no more. So I just been online trying to find out if I can order that, and I can, but delivery on it is 20 weeks. So I'm going to have to come up with another plan here on how to do this. So anyhow, live and learn. Okay, we're back again. I got this piece shaped after buggering up my shrinker. I did find parts for it, but they're in China. They're really cheap, but they're 20 weeks delivery, which I'm not prepared to wait for. So what I ended up doing to finish off making this piece was I took and I cut 3 relief cuts in that piece on the top and the bottom, and then bent it in, and I just kept opening up the outer edges of that until I got the correct shape I needed, and then got it all spot welded in there. So the next thing I'm working on is this replacement cross brace right here, and I've got the 2 pieces all set up. This is the brace for the seat. It had a little bit of a step put in it here on the bead roller. I just used a stepping die. This is 14 or 16 gauge again, which is too heavy for the machine, so I just went a little bit at a time. I don't want to break that thing as well. So I've got it clecoed in place here. I've got this brace exactly where it has to go. And what I used was my template here. I have reference lines wherever I needed it. I clecoed my lower brace in place and then just put some holes in my cardboard template so that this would fit. I have, you can just barely see them here. I've got 3 holes that are used for the battery hold down. I have to drill those and weld in some nuts, captured nuts underneath. So I use this to mark the holes where the seat bolts down. I've got to do the same with those, weld some nuts on the lower side. So I'm going to pull this out now, going to get those holes drilled, the nuts welded in, then we'll come back and we'll do the final assembly on this side, and then we can go over and start attacking the rust on the other side. Okay, so we've got this all welded in. I'll just go from the top here. You can see the 2 seat holes line up perfectly. I'll just take my template off. I've got the battery box hold down nuts welded in. I got this in perfectly square. It's tacked down the sides, across the top. I can do the finish welding on the bottom. So next I'm going to go over and take care of the rust over there, replace that front cross member just like I did here, and then I can start on the floor panel. Okay, we're back again. I got all the new structure done for the center. I got the two side rails put in with the seat bolt down plates. I welded 3/8 grade 8 fine bolts or nuts to the bottom side. I had to put tubes in these to stop them from crushing. The old ones were rusted right out. So the next step is the top plate that covers the whole X. What I had to do was step the edge of it down. I think you can see there to go onto the side plates. I got everything with weld through primer, and I'm just about to plug weld this all in. I'll bring you back here shortly. Working on getting this all plug welded in, perimeter welded. I like to use 3/8 holes on the thicker material. I find if you don't use a big enough hole, you don't get heat into the bottom piece before it fills the hole on the top piece, and you end up with it not sticking. So I'm just going to continue, get everything welded in place here. It'll be ready to grind off, and then I can start working on the replacement floor. Okay everyone, we're back. I've got everything plug welded in, ground down and ready to go. It'll need a layer of weld through primer before the floor goes in. I've got 2 bolts to deal with, or should I say welded nuts on the driver's side. I've got one here that's broke off, I got to get out, and then I got one here that somebody's drilled out rather badly, so I'm going to have to do a repair on that. So, but that takes care of the structure on the subframe, and that right there is the pile of scrap metal that's left over from all of those repairs. And this will be the next piece that we're going to deal with, getting this new piece of floor done. So there's going to be a lot of bead rolling and such in that. So I'll just bring you back here, get you put up in the tripod for a minute. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. So that's the first installment on this. Next we'll work on that floor and carry on. Hopefully I can get all the floors done, and then the inner fenders to get everything held up where it's supposed to be, and then I can start on fender repair and the rear part of the underneath the rumble seat here. So anyhow guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one, and thanks for watching and subscribing. Take care.